Welcome to the January 2025 webinar on the Zeen, which is the latest in mobility technology. It's an innovative device. It's an innovative mobile device. It fills the gap between a walker and a wheelchair. And we're delighted to have Dr. Petra Rose, who is with the parent company, Exokinetics. She has over 20 years of physical therapy experience, and she's going to tell you all about the Zeen. Thank you, Petra, and take it away.
Thank you, Casey. Nice to see everybody today. Thank you for joining us this morning. Yeah, as Casey said, I am a physical therapist. I have been consulting with the Zeen Mobility device for a little more than 5 years now. The Zeen's been on the market. It'll be 3 years in March that we've been on the market. And it's a brand new mobility device. As Casey said, kind of fills the gap between a walker and a wheelchair. Walker, you're using your upper body to help compensate for problems that you're having in your lower body, right? And if the walker isn't a walker or a cane or crutches or whatever, if they're not sufficient any longer, then oftentimes we're moving to a wheelchair, whether it's a manual wheelchair, a power wheelchair, whatever it might be. So a number of years ago, our inventor, his name is Garrett Brown. His parents were in their 90s, living in a retirement community, and he's watching them. They were very tall people. He's watching them as they're either hunched over a walker or sitting down in a wheelchair now, to be able to get to traverse the long hallways from their apartment to the dining room. And he said, "There's got to be something better." He's looking for something different. Um, to allow people to be on their feet safely. So that's where the idea of the Zeen came from. Garrett is also the inventor of the Steadicam. So if you've watched the Rocky movies or a lot of sporting events, some of the Star Wars movies, that the idea of the Steadicam was that it was taking a heavy piece of camera equipment and allowing it to be mobile. And so it was helping to provide this lifting assistance. So instead of a camera being on tracks to be able to move, he physically was the person who ran up the stairs with Sylvester Stallone, um, carrying this heavy camera equipment back in the early 80s. So he took that same idea of lifting heavy camera equipment and instead applied it to lifting a person. Okay, so that's where the Zeen came from. I have one right here. And so what I'm going to do is walk you through how the Zeen works. And then we'll open it up for questions. And as we said, please feel free, pop questions into the chat as we're going. If I cover it on the way, great. And if not, then we'll get to all the questions at the end, and then we can just open it up for discussion as well. Okay, so the Zeen is a new mobility device. Right now, it is folded up. You can see that it does fold relatively compact. It's about 11 inches wide when it's folded. When somebody orders a Zeen, this is what it's going to look like when it arrives at your house. It'll be in a nice big box, but it's folded up. It's already set to whatever your specifications would be. So there are two different settings on the Zeen: the amount of lift that it's going to give, as well as how high the seat will rise. So when someone is placing an order for a Zeen, they're giving us those two measurements: how much they weigh, and then so we use that to set how much lift it's going to give. And then the other piece that we look for is what's called standover height, and that is the ground to groin distance in a standing position. Okay, so there's a couple different ways that that measurement can be taken, and I can share that information with Casey that can be shared with everyone as well. Okay. So we set then how much lift and how high the seat's going to rise, so that when you take the Zeen out of the box, it should be pretty much ready to go for you. Okay. So right now, as I said, it is folded up. There are 3 Velcro straps on the Zeen. I've already released the 2 on the back. So there's one that goes across the rear frame. There's another one. You can see this bag is sticking out to the back. So there's more Velcro straps that would bunch the bag in as well. So those 2 have been released already. And then we also have across the front one more Velcro strap here. So I'm just going to release that strap. And now once all the Velcro has been released, I start pushing the side frames apart to open the Zeen up. Okay. As it starts to open, I'm going to find my red handle in the back and press down. That red handle locks the rear frame of the Zeen open and gives the frame stability. And then we spin around to the front here, and you can probably see the seat isn't level yet, okay? So I'm gonna move my handlebar on the right-hand side. I'm gonna move that out of the way, all right? So here's my handlebar coming up. And now I'm just gonna push down on the seat. There's another red handle right here. I push down, and that red handle now locks into place, clicks and locks into place. Okay, so now my Zeen is open, and when it's open and in the lowest seated mode, it kind of looks like a wheelchair, a transport wheelchair with a big bicycle seat on it. So I'm gonna hold this underneath here so you can kind of see that there's a prow on this seat. So there's kind of a nose that sticks out in front of the main big sitting area of the seat. All right. The prow of the seat is very important in helping to prevent falls, okay? And in giving the user support from underneath, okay? So I mentioned with a walker, you're using your upper body to compensate for lower body problems, right? With the Zeen, the seat is going to stay with you at all times. So it's giving you support right underneath, right at your backside and through the groin area so that you're getting the support where you need it, which is going to allow you to be able to back off the amount of weight that you're putting through your arms and ultimately eventually be more hands-free and have your hands available to open a door, to take a glass out of a cabinet, to carry something from one room to another, things like that. Okay. So a couple more features of the Zeen before I sit down and show you how it works. My handlebars, as I mentioned, the handlebar is able to move. It goes from being tucked in between the backrest and the armrest until it is all the way far in its far forward position. It then locks into place there. There is a lever to release it to get it out of the way. Okay. So I'm going to bring both of my handlebars forward. My handlebars are where my brakes are. So this long lever that you see here, that is my coasting brake. If you're using the Zeen outdoors, squeezing the coasting brake, if you're going down a bit of a slope, that's going to help slow you down. Okay. There's also a short tab that when I squeeze both the long handle and the short tab, now I've engaged my parking brake. So now the brakes will remain engaged without me holding on to the brake mechanism. Okay. The long handle. On my armrests, the red lever that you see here, that's my lift mechanism. So that is what's going to allow the seat to release to move up or down. There is a safety mechanism built in that you need to have the right amount of weight on the seat in order for the seat to release. So you can see I'm squeezing the levers right now. The seat's not going anywhere because there's no weight on it. Okay. Over the backrest right now, folded up, when we had it folded, or when we are folding the Zeen, we drape the seatbelt over the backrest, okay? Before we sit down on it, however, though, there is a magnet in the webbing between the clasp and the loosening mechanism, okay? So we're gonna bring the seatbelt right over top of the armrest, and there's a magnet in the middle of the armrest as well, under the Z emblem on the armrest. I know you guys can't see that from this distance, but there's magnets right there, so we can magnetize right to the outside of the armrests. And now the seatbelt's going to be very easy to grasp and fasten once I sit down. Okay. Couple more features. We do have push handles. So for the person that's been out using the Zeen, maybe you've been doing a lot of walking, you're with friends or family or whatever, and you've gotten a little bit tired, you need a break. You do have the option that somebody could give you a push. Okay. We also, I mentioned the brakes. The brakes are activated by the levers on the handlebars. The brakes work on the rear wheels. Okay, so only braking happens on the rear wheels. The front wheels do not have brakes at all. What you'll notice is all of the wheels are able to swivel as well. Okay. You can also, the rear wheels also have a caster lock. So from the back wheel, there's a little tab that sticks up and that can flip down. And now that is preventing the rear wheel from swiveling. Again, we can only lock the casters on the rear wheels in this current model. Okay. So why might you want to lock those rear casters? Again, if you're walking outside, if you're going across a slope, the weight of the back end of the Zeen might want to go downhill. Okay. So by locking the rear casters, it's going to allow the Zeen to follow behind you better. Okay. Another reason you might want to lock the brakes, is if someone is pushing you, I'm sorry, not the brakes, the casters. So if someone is pushing you, by locking the rear casters, now the person pushing is steering from just the front two wheels. So they're going to have an easier time of steering than trying to steer and all four wheels are able to swivel. Okay. Finally, and this certainly is something that could be happening with Parkinson's, if you have some type of uncontrolled movement of your legs, or there's, kind of your legs seem to have a mind of their own and you're having trouble going forward because you're getting a lot of side to side movement as well. By locking the rear casters, that's going to eliminate some of the side to side movement of the Zeen and allow you to have greater success with moving forward. Okay. All right. So let me hop on the Zeen and I will show you how the lift works and how we move around in it. Okay. As far as getting on and off of it, if the handlebars do move out of the way, the armrests do not move. So if I had a chair that I was sitting on here, I could stand myself up, take a step, turn and sit if I have that ability. If I don't have the ability to stand all the way up comfortably, I could always come from here and I could do a sit pivot. So kind of lifting my weight up from whatever I'm sitting on a little bit and just swiveling my hips to get onto the seat. Okay. I could also use a slide board. Okay. So multiple options to get onto the Zeen. I did mention that the brakes are only on the rear wheels. So there is a bit of movement of the Zeen, even with the brakes engaged, because those front wheels don't have brakes on them. Okay. And because all four wheels are on casters. So whatever it is that we're transferring from, we want to make sure that we're not reaching and pushing away or pushing in any direction when we're trying to get onto it because we're moving the Zeen away from us. Alternatively, having the Zeen up against something that if you're transferring from your bed, you could be pulling this directly towards you and then it's pulling against the bed and that's helping to stabilize it. Okay. So once I'm on the Zeen, first thing I'm going to do, safety first, is buckle my seatbelt. I fasten it, but I'm not going to tighten it. The seatbelt, aside from the magnets, it also has retractors. Okay. We will tighten the seatbelt when we're standing. If I tighten it now while I'm sitting all the way back, then it's not going to allow me to stand all the way up. Okay. So I've got the seatbelt fastened, but I'm not tightening it yet. I've got one handlebar out. I'm going to bring my other handlebar forward as well. So I've got both of them there that I can place my hands on once I'm standing. All right. So now, in order to stand up, I'm going to move up to the front edge of the seat, just like you're going to stand up from anything else. The closer you are to the front edge, the closer you are to standing. Okay. I'm going to put my hands on the armrests and squeeze the levers. I'm not going to push with my arms. I'm going to lean my body forward. And as I lean, the seat, the gas springs underneath are starting to help to lift me up. Okay. So if I'm used to kind of giving myself a big shove to get out of the chair, if I do that on here, I'm going to rise up a lot faster than I might be expecting. Okay. So instead of giving a big push, squeeze, lean. And if you don't start going anywhere, then give a little push with arms or legs and you start lifting up. You can stop anywhere between the full seated position and whatever has been set as your max standing height. Okay. So I'm going to come all the way up to my full standing height. And what I often hear from people when they first come up to standing is that it's too high. Okay. It's not that it's too high, it's that my feet aren't underneath me. Right now, this is where my feet were comfortable to when I was seated to start rising up to standing. Right. But if I didn't have the Zeen under me right now, I'd topple over backwards. Right. So what I'm going to do at this point now is step my feet back and stand up nice and tall. And now I've just lifted myself away from the seat a tiny bit. Okay. I've got light contact between the front edge of the seat and my back side. I've got light contact between the prow of the seat and the groin. Okay. And my feet are solidly on the ground. Okay. So I'm standing comfortably. You can see from the side, my feet are underneath me. So most of my weight is going through my legs and I've got that light support from the seat underneath. Now you can see that there's some give to my seatbelt right now. Okay. So this is where I'm going to tighten my seatbelt up. So I like to kind of pull forward first. You can see how much slack I need to take up and then out to the sides to make it nice and snug. By having the seatbelt snug and I'm standing with my feet my legs right on either side of the prow of the seat. This is what's going to help to prevent falls. Okay. So should I lose my footing here in any way at all? You can see my feet are off the ground right now. I'm not going anywhere, right? Big thing I hear from folks is if they lose their balance backwards, they may roll backwards a little bit, but you didn't fall over. Okay. So, and then it's just a matter of get your feet back underneath you, stand up nice and tall, and you can keep going. All right. So once I'm standing here, I can put as much weight through these handlebars as I feel like I need. All right. And can walk as normally as possible. Okay. Um, if I if I've been used to using a walker, I can use these handlebars just like I've been using a walker, that I'm putting my weight down through the hands and I'm walking. And as I realize and as I'm getting more comfortable with it, that the seat is giving me support and I'm not losing that support as I'm walking, then I can slowly back off the amount of weight I'm putting through my hands. And now this is what is going to allow me to, maybe pick up a glass of water and carry it to wherever it is that I'm going. Okay. Um, Walking with the Zeen. Whoop, what just happened? I apologize. My computer just did something funky.
It's fine on our end.
Yeah, I think it was just something else completed on my end and it just made my screen tiny. Sorry. Oh, how do I get this back? Huh. Okay, well, I don't know why. Sorry, guys. Let me just see if this. It like all of a sudden just minimized my my screen. Very strange. Um,
If you
all
don't
right.
need to see us, we see you perfectly.
Yeah, and it's okay. All right, all good. Okay. So, walking with the Zeen, as I was just saying, there's a bit of a swivel to the seat that is intentional. The swivel is allowing you to get into full hip extension and take normal steps. Okay. When we're turning with the Zeen, we encourage you to get the Zeen to turn around you. Okay. So that you're kind of staying in place and you can get it to turn in a pretty tight radius. Okay. The other option that you have is that you can lower yourself down a bit. Okay. And now from this position, I was able to shift my weight back. I still have good solid contact with the ground. And now I can dig my feet in to coast or glide. I'm on carpet right now, so coasting and gliding isn't going to happen on carpet because carpet gives too much resistance. But over a hardwood floor or a tile floor or something like that, outdoors on um, pavement, all of those nice smooth surfaces are going to be great for coasting and gliding. Okay. Another feature is that you can sit at any height with the Zeen, okay? And so if I want to sit back, everybody's standing around and talking, or maybe I go out to dinner and we're going to sit at a high top table. This is my own personal bar stool. So from here, I can bring a foot up, slide myself back, and now I'm sitting at my own eye level. I'm not climbing onto or jumping off of a bar stool. And I can also get my handlebars back out of the way. So now I'm sitting up comfortably. There are footrests for me to comfortably place my feet. And I'm sitting at this nice, comfortable eye level position. Okay. When I'm ready to get moving again, I'll bring my handlebars back forward, slide my body back up to the front edge of the seat and come back down. This is my normal standing height. Okay. So I'm not climbing up to or jumping off of anything. I'm just shifting position. Okay. So that's the basics of the Zeen. I did see that there were some questions that came in. And of course, for whatever reason, my Zoom has just gone really wonky on me. Oh, wait, here we go.
I can read them for you.
That would be fantastic.
Okay. The first one is more of a comment. As an
Okay.
aside, I mentioned the zine at a support group meeting about 2 months ago. Within a week after the meeting, a member ordered the zine for her husband. Her initial feedback was very positive. I'm sure she will be willing to share their experience if you'd like to hear from a local PD community member.
Oh, that's awesome. So that was from Christine. Thank you. Um, is so is the person that you're speaking of, are they in this support group as well, or no?
They are not. They're not on today, but
Okay.
they're a member of our South Hills Movers and Shakers group.
Awesome. Awesome. Okay. And the so this was her husband is the one that's using it, is that correct?
Correct. And
Okay.
offline, I can give you her name if you'd like.
Awesome. That's great. I'm happy to hear that you have a bit of kind of personal experience with it. So South Hills Movers and Shakers is the group that she's in.
Yes.
That's great. Awesome. Thank you for sharing that.
How wide is the zine when open? Can it fit through a doorway?
Excellent question. So the width of the zine in an open position is about 25.5 inches wide. So, oh, I'm seeing that there was somebody in the waiting room.
Oh.
So about 25.5 inches wide when it's open, 25.5 inches wide, and we're about 30 inches front to back. So yes, as by today's standards, we do fit through a doorway. That said, I know you guys or a lot of you are in the Pittsburgh area. We're in right outside of Philadelphia. There are plenty of homes throughout Pennsylvania and throughout the country and the world that don't have today's building standards, right? Because they were built before those. So we built the zine within the specifications of a standard wheelchair. Okay. So we're within that footprint. Um, the front to back dimension is a little bit longer than you would see on a standard wheelchair, because our front casters protrude farther forward to give us that stability. If our wheels were farther back, then the zine user wouldn't be as much in the center of the device. And so then we wouldn't have as much of the stability as we currently have. So that's to answer that for you.
One complaint I've heard is that it's heavy to lift in and out of a car. Any recommendations?
Great question. So the zine weighs between 40 and 45 pounds, depending on the version of zine that you're getting. Every zine is this same size that I'm in right now. It's just a matter of whether you need two hands to squeeze the levers to be able to go up and down. That's our standard production, or just one hand. So I'm actually on our one hand version. And the one hand can be either hand. Okay. So the one hand version is slightly heavier because of the extra mechanisms to make it a one hand version. 42 to 45 pounds. We do have something called a trunk loading tool. Okay. And that is, it's a big piece of material with a nice long loop that you use. It kind of creates a pulley system in the trunk of your car. All right. So it takes about half of the weight. It doesn't work for every car. It doesn't work for every individual. What we have found most often is that the zine user themselves may not be able to use the trunk loading tool, but their family member, spouse, friend, that they might be able to use it. Because you need to have enough balance with being off of the zine to be able to lift and get the zine into the trunk of the car. Does that make sense?
Thank you. Would you like me to continue reading the questions? Petra?
You can, or I could also, I was gonna say I could do a share my screen and I could show you guys the trunk loading tool from our website, but I can also just send that. I can include that when in follow-up communication as well.
If you don't mind sharing it, that would be great.
All right, let me just see. Sharing it. What the heck? Oh, technology is so much fun sometimes. All right, where do I have share? There we go.
If you don't have it accessible right now, you can just send it.
If this is not going to take forever, then I will share my screen, but it does not seem to be. My computer's being very slow this morning.
That's okay. We can move on.
Yeah, I'll just be sure to share the link and
Okay.
specifically the directing you to the right place for
Thank you.
the trunk loading straps.
Okay, I'll move on to the next question. What is the price? Is it covered by Medicare? There's a couple other parts to it. Return policy, 2-week trial period was mentioned. What about guarantee? Repairs?
All excellent questions. So, all right. So the price, the standard version is right around $4,400, and the one-hand control is just under 5,000. Okay. As far as insurance coverage, we do not have a way to, we don't have a code to say, here, submit this code to insurance and that they will pay. So we don't have a specific way to bill Medicare. It is a private pay purchase currently. We have had folks who have purchased the zine and have submitted an invoice and a letter of medical necessity from their physician or therapist or whomever to their insurance company to receive reimbursement. And there have been people that have successfully gotten reimbursement, not of the full cost. I think most insurers cover up to about 80% or so. So some people have gotten that type of coverage. That said, we do also know of and have been actively growing a list of different funding sources, whether they're grants, loans, all different ways to help make this as affordable as possible for people. If everybody in this group, if everyone is in the state of Pennsylvania, a fantastic resource is the Assistive Technology Foundation, PATF, Pennsylvania Assistive Technology Foundation. The zine is considered to be assistive technology. That foundation provides loans up to $7,000 interest-free. So that is something that, especially for Pennsylvania residents, that we've encouraged folks to go that way if paying for it up front is not in the realm of possibility. And PATF is very good about working with the individual on what the repayment terms would be. So there's a number of different, so that's a loan option. But then there are other grants and other things that we've learned about as well. So, we try to work with the individual and help to make it as affordable as possible. What were the rest of those questions?
Is there a return policy? A
Yes.
2-week trial period was mentioned.
Yes. So every zine does come with a 2-week trial period. So you purchase the zine, it arrives at your house, and you've got 2 weeks to try it out in your space, and the ways that you want to use it, and make sure that it's going to work for how you want to be using it. We don't expect anything to be perfect in those first 2 weeks. It's just does this fit in my house? Is it useful for what I want to be doing with it? Do I see myself making gains to be able to get to where I want to be with it? Okay. We also provide one-on-one training sessions during, both during the trial period as well as whatever you need beyond that. So you can connect with me or another member of our team, and we will help review things with you. Review how to adjust how high the seat goes. Maybe you got it and the seat's rising up too high. And so you need to learn how to be able to change how high that seat is going so that you can make it comfortable for yourself. So that is, so we've got those training options available as well. We also, if you reach out to us during that 2-week trial period, you're having some trouble with things, we review it with you. We can always extend the trial period a bit as well, so that you can really get a good test out of it, and make sure that it's the right thing for you. So that's something that we're able to do as well. As far as maintenance, warranties, things like that, the metal frame on the Zeen has a 2-year warranty, and all of the plastic and moving parts have a 6-month warranty. So, and any repairs are done directly through us. If it's something that is able to be fixed by you, if it's a matter of we just would send you to the replacement part, then we can do that. We would send you the replacement part along with a link to a video to watch to do the repair, and you'd be able to do that. If it's more involved than that, then we would get the Zeen back from you, do the repairs, and then get it back to you.
And there is not a battery, correct? That was part of the
Correct. Yep. No battery.
Okay.
The lift mechanism is gas springs that are under the seat here. So it's 2 gas springs that have an infinite number of lifts. The testing that's been done on them, it's like hundreds of thousands of times that it can expand and contract and still be, providing the same amount of lift as the first time. So yeah, so no battery, nothing you need to charge. Yeah.
And is there, the last part of this question, can you take it on a plane?
Yes. Yes, you definitely can. I've flown with one multiple times. When you're flying with the Zeen, we recommend that, so we do another accessory that we have. I mentioned the trunk loading straps. Another accessory we have is a travel cover. And the travel cover, when you have the Zeen at the lowest seated position, so the Zeen can fold at any height. It's going to fold most compact when the seat's all the way down, okay? And then to fold it up, spin it this way so you can see the 2 red handles. We pull up on the red handle on the back and the red handle on the side of the seat and start pulling it together like this, okay? So as it's coming together, once it's most of the way closed, then that's when I'm going to fold my handlebars back, okay? So you see the handlebars are still sticking out. So I fold those back, and then I like to just kind of squeeze the Zeen towards me. And now at this point, I would engage all of my Velcro straps across the front, the 2 across the back, and then every Zeen comes with a pair of shipping pins. So when you're flying with the Zeen, we recommend that you put the shipping pins back in, and these go in that the elastic goes between the numbered tube here and the seat. We put the pin in the hole and we loop the elastic around. And so what that does is if the lift mechanism should get dislodged during the flight, it's going to come up, bump into that pin, and not try to track farther up the numbered strut. Okay, so it's not going to distort your frame. Your Zeen, when it arrives, has these 2 shipping pins in place. So when you first take them out, I always encourage everyone, just take those pins, pop them right in the back pocket of the Zeen so that you always have them. And that way, if you are flying with it, you've got them to put in place. The other thing that these pins, that the elastic on this can be used for, is that you can use it to loop around the lift mechanism on the armrest so that it's holding the lift mechanism open. And in doing that, you can use this to do assisted sit to stands without having to continue to hold the lift lever. Okay, so I'm sitting back on my Zeen. I've got my seatbelt on. I would take this and I could use this. I could use any elastic, a rubber band, a hair elastic. I've had people tell me they have like a piece of Velcro strip that they've used. And so we can loop this around here. All right. And now that's holding the lift mechanism open. I don't have my second one. So I would put it on both sides. I'm just going to hold this one. Okay. But I would make sure my brakes are locked. And now I can practice doing sit to stands. Okay. And even though the lift is helping me, my legs are controlling the motion. Okay. So this is a very nice strengthening exercise to do. As a PT, one of the biggest exercises that I'm using with my patients all the time is sit to stand. All a sit to stand is, and whether you're on the Zeen or not, all a sit to stand is a protected squat. A squat is the best exercise to help strengthen quads and glutes, okay? And so doing it on the Zeen here is just the most protected way that you can do that sit to stand. Make sense?
Yes.
Cool.
Does to me. In terms of traveling, how about traveling in snow and sand?
Great question. This is not the greatest over non-smooth surfaces. Sand, you're definitely going to end up with sand in the wheels and it's going to gum it up, and you don't want to take it onto the beach for sure. Using it on a boardwalk or like a promenade along the beach, that would definitely be fine. I would just make sure that you brush the wheels out, kind of similar to any other device you're using. A rollator walker, those wheels, you don't really want to take them onto the sand, and you want to make sure that you get as much sand out of it as you can if some has gotten in there. Snow and ice, same thing. So these wheels, they're 8-inch wheels, so it is a decent size wheel, but it's just not great in that snowy kind of slushy environment.
And one other part to that question, thank you. Side slope maneuverability.
Sure. So I had mentioned that a little bit, and that's where the caster locks are useful. Okay. So I can reach the caster locks from a seated position. If I sit and I reach back, the caster lock is right here, right over the rear wheel. Okay, so as I'm sitting here on the Zeen, I lowered myself all the way down. I can flip my caster locks, both of my caster locks down. Okay, and now when I stand back up, as I'm walking, those rear wheels are not going to swivel anymore. Okay, that means that I'm not able to do my tight turn. Okay, I can't turn on the point, but because those rear wheels are locked, now if I am traversing a slope, the back end of the Zeen is going to follow behind me rather than those rear wheels kind of trying to go down the hill a little bit. Does that make sense?
Thank you. And going back,
Yeah.
I'm trying to imagine walking with the Proud. Doesn't seem like a bicycle seat would be comfortable.
It definitely is something that can take some getting used to. It's not a typical thing to be walking and having something between your legs when you're walking. But it really just kind of takes a little bit of, as you keep using it, your body gets used to it. And it is essential that when you're using the Zeen, that the prow is between your legs. I've had a number of people who, or like early on, that they would loosen their seatbelt so that they could move themselves forward. Well, now I've just lost that fall prevention piece by not being over the prow of the seat. So if you're using it and you feel like the seat's too high, then that's a matter of, let me grab this so that you can see it more easily. That is a matter of adjusting how high the seat can go. So this piece right here, this is called my max height car, okay? And when I grab this knob and pull straight back, I can move up or down, okay? So if I felt like the seat was coming up too high, I can always move it down a level. I would just make sure that I do the same thing on both sides, all right? And now when I stand up, now the seat isn't quite as high, okay? So I still have light support here, and it's not pressing up into the groin, which that's where I tend to hear the biggest complaint is like, it just feels like it's too high and it's uncomfortable. We definitely don't want it to be uncomfortable in the groin. That's not going to keep you on your feet and keep you moving. That's going to make you say, I don't want to have anything to do with this thing. So making sure that that seat is at the best height for you and super easy to adjust. So just kind of playing around with it a little bit when you first, especially when you first get it, and what is the right max height for that seat for you.
Thank you. And this is a
Mhm.
comment. It seems too heavy for most seniors or smaller people to lift.
That's so that's where the trunk loader is very useful if you're trying to lift it in and out of a car. Are we thinking of other lifting that would need to be done?
Helen, if you'd like to chime in and unmute yourself, you're welcome to do so to answer the rest of that question.
Up and down steps.
Up and down steps.
Hmm.
Yeah. So a couple things to get up and down steps. With Are we talking like a full flight of steps, or are we talking 2 to 3 steps to get in and out of the front door? How many steps are we talking? Or you want me to just talk to both?
I guess talk to both, but I was thinking that if you had to lift it down the steps or roll it down or
Yeah. So I'll pull this over so I can kind of give you an example of a small step here anyway. So if you needed to get up a single step, so the width of the zine is narrow enough when it's folded that it could fit on a standard depth step. Okay. So what you could do is I've got it right here at the edge of the step, and I could lift 2 wheels up and then the next 2 wheels up, and I'd be up 1 step. And I could keep doing that. I didn't do my Velcro. So I could keep doing that all the way up the steps, whether it's 2 or 3 steps or a full flight of stairs. So that's one way that you could get it up the stairs. And same thing to come back down. So I could kind of walk it up that way, and then if I'm bringing it back down, same thing. Bring two wheels down and then the other 2. So that's an option. You can, if you're trying to navigate a single step in the zine, you can do that. The zine user can do that depending on their leg strength and their balance. That let's see if this will. Let me do this. So if I let's just say I needed to navigate a single curb, or it was a step, kind of a big platform step, I could walk up to the step, okay, and then I would lower myself down enough that, and then be able to stand myself up, okay. So I've got no support from the zine at all right now, all right. And then from here, I would lift the front wheels up onto the step myself up. Okay, this is an air track, so it's not really a full step. Okay, and then I would walk until my back wheels come into contact and pull, and now my back wheels just rolled up and over. Okay, so I can, in theory, navigate it on the zine, and then if I wanted to come back down, then I would come up to the edge, and same thing that I would I've lowered my seat down. I'm going to bring my feet down, and then I can roll the Zeen down and keep walking forward, and my back wheels bump down as well. So that's a possibility. It all depends on the person's strength. The having it folded and doing 2 wheels at a time, kind of walking it up the stairs, you're not lifting the weight of the Zeen, so that's definitely a possibility, because most of, like, at least 2 wheels are on the ground at all times. It's just going to take a good amount of time. So, are we talking like the 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 person that's using the Zeen is doing this, or their family member is helping them with it?
I guess I'm a caregiver and I can't lift 3 wheelchairs, let alone 45 pounds. But I was just looking at that. The other concern I have really with this is a person with one arm and adjusting the brakes. And most people with Parkinson's fall backwards. And you're saying that when you fall backwards, it's going to continue to roll a little bit. That would be frightening.
So, so if you do fall backwards, there's a little bit of a roll, but it stops pretty quickly, because unless you pick your feet up off the ground, or if you are on a smooth surface, like, you're not going to keep going backwards. Does that make sense? And I think it's just a matter of practicing with it, and even just intentionally going backwards and feeling, what does it feel like? And then getting your feet underneath you and standing back up and moving again.
Is there any plans to include remote braking, like either voice activated or remote activated, so that you don't have to reach down and push those levers or the front? I don't know. The braking is a problem, I think, when you're having to engage that, and it's really not a brake because it'll roll even with that brake on.
So it is a brake, and it's the same amount of braking that you get on any of the traditional walkers, a rollator walker, an up walker, any of those. They all still have some ability to move even with the brakes engaged. There is no plan to do any type of electronic remote braking. No. There is some thought to be able to have like a caregiver or an assistant brake, so that it's not just on the handlebars, that there would be something that someone that's pushing from behind, that they would be able to help with activating the brake. So there is some thought around that, but not something that is coming soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm curious, is the company looking into a lighter Zeen? I mean, is that something? I don't know if you can speak on that. Just curious.
I know that it has been explored. Part of the inherent stability of the Zeen is a little bit to do with the weight of it. So if we were to go much lighter, are we going to have the same fall prevention as we do currently? The Zeen currently, the metal is aluminum, and it's like a bicycle, essentially. The way that the aluminum is, it's aluminum tubes, and then molded plastic. So a lot of our weight, it's not really coming from the frame, it's coming from the wheels and other parts of the Zeen. So where we might be able to cut some weight, the wheels are going to be the weight that the wheels are. So there's, yes, we definitely want to try to make it lighter. I don't know engineering wise how much lighter we can get.
That brought up one more question I have. The weight adjustment, when you first specify your weight and say you lose like 60 pounds, how do you adjust that? Can you do it, or?
It can be done, yes. And I can show you so I'll show you how it does get adjusted. It's not something that we recommend that the Zeen user is doing themselves, but a caregiver or a therapist or someone that is able-bodied could make this adjustment. So to make the adjustment in the lift, so what I did already is I moved the max height cars all the way up out of the way. Okay, because now I need to lift, I need the Zeen to go as high as it can on the gas springs. Okay, so the seat's as high as it'll go. You can see I'm now standing on the footrests because I'm short. I can't do this without standing on them. And then I actually lift the seat up and off of the gas springs. And then from underneath, and this is where it's a little bit hard for you guys to see, but there's a plate underneath with the numbers 1 through 5. And so what I'm doing is just changing where the end of the gas spring is in that numbered plate. So there's 5 different lift settings, from 100 to 250 pounds on our standard gas springs, from 50 to 175 on our light gas springs. So if someone is under 100 pounds, we would do those light gas springs. So if someone weighed 180 pounds when they got the Zeen, and then they lost 60 pounds, they're down to 120, that would switch them from being a 3 to a 1 on our lift. And so yes, it is able to be adjusted. So I've just adjusted it. So as I said, it's underneath. There are directions on the website of how to do it and in the product manual. And then once we've adjusted the amount of lift, then we lower it back down. And again, because I'm short, so you can see as I'm standing here, this is running into like my low back. So I actually need to step up in order to lower it back down. And then I would bring my max height cars back down so that I'm rising to the right height and not too high. Okay.
Thank you. There's a comment question. My understanding is that the code issue is a result of the Zeen being neither a wheelchair nor a standing device. Is Zeen working to get a new code approved for Medicare? I would think that preventing falls should be reason enough for coverage.
I agree with you. Is Zeen working on it? Yes, it's a long process. So we fall into a walker category because we're propelling with the legs. There's very little in the way of reimbursement on walkers, and we are expensive in the walker category. Because there is not a way to propel with the arms, that's why we don't fall into the wheelchair category. And yes, there are a lot of things that the Zeen does. We have met with a couple different individuals with respect to figuring out getting coding. And one of the things that we've heard is that it all really depends on who you happen to get on any given day. And if somebody looks at it and says, oh, it's a walker, and just sticks it in the walker category rather than seeing everything that is involved, that could actually work against us if, rather than getting our own code, that we just kind of get stuck into a currently existing code. So it is something we are interested in, and we want to hopefully be able to say, yeah, here's the insurance, here's the code that you need to do, that you need to use. We're just not there quite yet.
Thanks, Petra. Is it true that the Zeen can help strengthen one's core? That would help with mobility and result?
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, so the turning that I was showing you guys. So as I'm on the Zeen here, I showed you we can do the sit to stand. So that's going to help with strengthening backside and quads. Standing and just doing this side to side turning, that's a lot of core activation that we're getting here. Okay. And just being able to stand and having this light support from underneath, there's loads of other things that you can do from here. Whether it's working on reaching up high, reaching out to a side, reaching down low, using the Zeen to kind of lower part of the way down, even doing crunches, whether we're coming forward or coming back to the backrest and sitting up. So plenty of different ways, going side to side, loads of different ways that you can use, that you can be on the Zeen and do exercises with it, whether you're using the Zeen itself or just getting into an optimal position to be able to do other exercises.
Thank you. And do you know how many Zeen users operated on their own versus with a care partner? Do you have any idea?
I don't have a good answer for that. It I want to say I really I don't have an answer for that at all. There are a lot of people that have zines. There are a lot of people that their their parent has purchased a zine for them, so that's somebody that was kind of always needing some type of support. Um, I would say the folks who have some type of chronic disease, like Parkinson's, like MS, or have like an acquired spinal cord injury, maybe have had a stroke. Um, it really just depends on their own individual, like where they're at themselves. Are they able to manage the zine? I would say a lot of people are using the zine on their own, but are they transporting it places? Not necessarily. You know, that they have someone else helping them to load it in and out of the trunk of a car, or um if they're traveling, that they're getting assistance with getting it on and off a plane and things like that.
One follow-up to that, I guess, is I would think, this is just a guess on my part, but I would think that someone may start using the Zeen on their own, but
Mhm.
eventually would require the help of a care partner. And does it give the care partner the ability to get out and about more than they typically would be able to without the Zeen?
I would say yes. So and I think it could go both ways. That it's somebody that they're using it themselves, and then maybe their disease progresses, and so now they do need more assistance, and the Zeen is allowing them to stay on their feet longer. It could also be that they already have somebody that is assisting them, and the Zeen is is helping them to gain some strength back, maybe that they've lost, because you're not able to do a sit to stand exercise consistently or work on balance consistently because of um, other problems that the disease process is presenting. So being in the Zeen and having this, this stability around you, it has been compared to a standing frame. I can work on standing here. I can work on stationary exercises. I can work um, on moving in different directions. I can work on my posture. Somebody that has been using a walker for a long time often gets into this hunched posture. So, just getting into the Zeen and now working on, okay, now let's bring your shoulders back over your hips, and let's bring your head back over your shoulders, and working on that erect posture. And so the person that maybe they already are working with a caregiver, um, or a therapist or whatever. Now they've got a different tool to use to help them regain maybe some of what they've lost. Okay. Is that Thank you for all the questions, Christine. These are great.
Thank you. Um, well, I have one follow-up, but I can wait on
Yeah.
that. Has Zeen considered adding a strap to the footrest for using the chair as a transporter?
We actually are in the process of developing an alternate footrest. So there are these footrests where my feet are right now are intended for use when you're sitting up high. When you're sitting down low, even for me as a short person, those are very high. This is not a comfortable place. Many people don't have enough bending in their knees to be able to do that. We are working on an alternate footrest that actually would span between the two front wheels. It would be an arc that comes out in front. And so, yes, so that would be an alternate that it is going to be a little bit lower, and it's going to allow you to put your feet anywhere along that span. And it also comes off very easily, folds in three, and would fit right into the back pocket.
Thank you. Good to
So,
know. I'm
yeah.
curious, do you know how many people currently, or do you have an estimate of how many have a Zeen? Any
I
idea?
was just asked this question earlier today. I want to say it's around 1,000. It may be even a little bit more than that at this point. I'm not 100% sure. So we are still pretty new. We'll have been on the market 3 years come March. And we're just working on growing awareness of the zine and how it can be incorporated as an alternative to a walker or a wheelchair.
Wonderful. I know we're past time. I would just like to see if anyone has maybe the last question, but
Yep.
and we're hoping that the zine can make an appearance at our conference in May. We had talked with Julie about that.
I will
Mm,
definitely check back with Julie
okay.
about that.
And-
So Casey, you've been recording this, right? So you've got that to share with everyone. I
Yeah.
will send a couple links along to you as well that, to our website. Everything that I just went over with everybody today of how everything works, all of that is on the training page of our website. And we also have a page called Zeen Content, which shows it has 3 short videos of different exercises that can be done in the zine. And then the shop all tab shows you all of the accessories that we currently have, and any other accessories will be added there as well. So we don't have the footrest yet, the alternate footrest, but we do have a travel cover, the trunk straps that I mentioned, and then there's a cushion. I don't have the cushion on right now, but there is a cushion that can be used. So this is what this actual shape of the seat looks like. It is a big bicycle seat. And so there's a cushion and there's also a cup holder. So a number of different accessories that are currently available. And we've got a list of accessories that other folks have asked for already, both pre-production and since the zine has been in production. So there's a lot of things that we'll continue working on, as well as making both larger and smaller versions. So lots of things coming down the road.
Right, and it looks like there was a suggestion to ask our local user if he would possibly make a video to show him using the zine.
That would be awesome. Yeah.
So more to
Um,
come on that.
yeah.
Thank you for your time, Petra,
Yeah.
and Exogenetics, and we really appreciate learning more. And if you have additional questions,
Thank you guys so much. It was lovely to meet
yes.
everyone. I hope everybody has a great day, and I will make sure that you've got our contact information as well. I know Casey, you've got
Yes.
a number of different contacts, but I'll our general contact as well as mine, and any questions that you guys have to reach out. Okay.
Absolutely. Oh, one
Awesome.
last question. Is there a cost for the trainings?
No.
Okay.
No.
We'll end
training
it
is
on
free.
that. If you'd like more information, you can email me. I'll get you that information. And thank you everyone for joining.
All right.
Have a
Thank you
great
so much,
day.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, you too.
Bye.